Previously on Dragon Ball Kakumei, after all universes receive warning of the multiversal war, Universe 7 begins to prepare, with its main warriors beginning to define their training plans and set out on their journeys. What path will each one take? Find out now. The spaceship carrying Jaco, Brawly, Chilai, Limo, and Bulma leaves planet Vampa, with Jaco saying that this is the first time that the Galactic Patrol has moved from one universe to another. Chilai asks what he means by going from one universe to another, and Bulma explains that planet SADALA is in Universe 6. In other words, their destination is planet SADALA, the homeland of the Universe 6 Saiyans. Jaco starts the ship, scaring everyone. It looks like it's going to be a really fun trip. Speaking of travel, the other travelers have already arrived at their first destination, a planet called Planet Calumet in Universe 9. Krillin makes a joke that Whis would make a great taxi, but Whis doesn't even know what that means. Gohan finds this planet very strange, saying that it appears to be made of cotton. Whis says that this planet is known for having a large cloud layer surrounding it. Krillin asks how thick this layer of cloud is, and Whis responds that it is 3,000 kilometers of cloud, which is also half the planet's size compared to its center. Of course, this leaves Krillin shocked, and wondering if they're going to have to go through this whole layer. Whis taps the floor of the travel cube with his staff, and suddenly a gigantic hole opens up in planet Calumet's cloud layer. Gohan finds that funny and comments that obviously this isn't a problem for Whis. In fact, it seems like nothing is really a problem for Dragon Ball's angels. People inside the planet see that hole open in the clouds and a stream of light coming in. And of course everyone is curious about that. Looking at their entrance, Krillin says it's time to go and calls for Gohan, Yamcha, and Tien. Gohan says he's not going, and that his stop is next. Yamcha comments on this, saying that in the end he decided to go. Gohan confirms, stating that it will be better for him. Tien wishes him good luck. Gohan asks if Whis heard that, and Whis says yes. The three Earthling warriors jump from the cube towards the center of the planet, passing through the large cloud layer to finally land on solid ground. Sometime later, they arrive at Gohan's destination. Trunks asks Goten why Gohan went down to this place, and of course Goten doesn't know. Their next stop is planet SADALA, with the cube landing right in the middle of a city on the planet. A group of Saiyans are surprised and curious about this thing that has just landed. One of them asks what kind of technology this is. The one who comes out of the cube is Vegeta, who takes a good look at where he just arrived. One of the Saiyans comes closer, curious about Vegeta, because he notices that he is a Saiyan too. But Vegeta beats this guy up and corrects him, saying that he's not just a Saiyan, but their prince. The other Saiyans don't like this at all, and one of them says that if Vegeta is looking for a fight, he has a problem. Vegeta starts to disdain the other Saiyans, saying that having to fight these guys is a decline for him. The travel cube's last stop is Beerus's planet. Trunks is very excited about what he's seeing, while Goten isn't that excited, saying it's smaller than he expected. But Trunks says it doesn't matter. What's cool for him is someone having his own planet. The travel cube approaches the planet at high speed, and Beerus already notices their arrival. When the cube is landing, Beerus sees who is inside it, and asks what the hell is going on there, not liking what he sees at all. Whis asks him to be indulgent, but Beerus says he doesn't want kids there, and that his planet is not a club for Saiyans. Goten gets very angry when he hears the God of Destruction say this, and says that his father could be dead now. Beerus tells Goten to change his tone of voice. He responds by saying that Goku is the least of the warriors in a war of this magnitude, and also hot-headed as Goku is, he would die at one point or another. This leaves Goten completely enraged, making the boy advance against Beerus, already transforming into a Super Saiyan, which of course leaves Beerus in shock. Trunks also transforms and moves in front of Goten to stop him, saying he's crazy. Goten, mad, tells Trunks to get out of the way. He begins to feel the pressure of the Beerus presence and becomes very uncomfortable. Trunks tells him to stop, but Goten insists. In the blink of an eye, Beerus already moved and caught Goten, holding the boy by the face and shouting at him to stop brawling. Beerus throws Goten with force, causing him to hit a celestial body that floats around the planet, and just in that simple moment, he hurts him a lot. Goten says that this isn't over, and tries to move with difficulty, but Beerus is holding his face again, and the Hakaishin starts to mention the name of his destruction technique, about to make Goten completely disappear from existence. But Beerus suddenly stopped. Something stopped him. The destroyer then finishes the boy off with a flick, and does so while telling Whis that he has made up his mind about not wanting any more guests on his planet, and orders the angel to go train them elsewhere. Whis has no choice but to obey. On planet Calumet, the Earthlings are trying to talk to the inhabitants, but it seems they don't understand. Krillin comments that this is a very strange thing, since Basil, Lavender, and Bergamo understood their language. This leaves the trio very frustrated and not knowing what to do in that crowd, but luckily they were found. Bergamo, Lavender, and Basil see them in the crowd and recognize them. They wonder if the three of them were responsible for the hole in the sky that the kids talked about. In SADALA, Vegeta has already stacked a bunch of Saiyans, and he seems to have done it with very little effort. Someone is arriving there, very angry at seeing her friends all piled up. This person is Caulifla, who when seeing Vegeta is completely surprised and asks what the hell he's doing there. The Capsule Corporation ship has just arrived in Universe 6, and Jocko warns them about this while also asking if the ship is shaken too much. Bulma complains that it shook a lot. Jocko laughs but says that at least the ship is a success, and now they will head towards planet Sadala. Earlier in Universe 11, Margarita is explaining that Belmont will not lose his destructive powers. However, he was the god of destruction for many years, and gods are only immortal while they are reigning. Toppo gets worried when he hears this. Belmont isn't that worried and asks himself, smiling, if he's going to die or not. He says that at least he has lived a long time, even for his species. Looking at Toppo, Dispo, and Jiren, Belmont says that although he hasn't said it often, the three of them are warriors whom he respects. Toppo closes his eyes after hearing this, and then says he's ready. Margarita hits her staff on the ground, and at that moment a very dense energy takes over two statues in that place. When this happens, Toppo and Belmont are affected by a powerful energy, which seems to cause them some suffering, especially Belmont. Margarita, Jiren, and Dispo notice a strange thing. Something in the form of a trail of light has just fallen or landed near them. Dispo says he'll check, and Jiren agrees. Dispo starts running, in an instant gaining incredible speed, covering that distance, leaving a trail of dust and breaking when he arrives in place. When he sees who it is, Dispo is surprised. When the ritual ends, Belmont is almost unrecognizable, with his body completely toasted and sunk. Toppo, on the other hand, looks refreshed, and still a little out of him due to power. Margarita asked how the new god of destruction feels. Toppo says he feels good, and then he sees what just happened to Belmont and yells for him. In deep sadness, Toppo falls to his knees in lamentation. More people arrive there. It's Dispo, who's accompanied by Gohan. And with that, we find out what Gohan's destination was before. Toppo directs a murderous look at Gohan, who's a little confused and scared. Gohan gets straight to the point. He says he's not sure he understands everything that's going on, but they have a lot to offer him, and this is how Chapter 3 ends. Chapter 4. Noble Legacy. In an uproar, Caulifla asks what the hell he is doing there. Kaba, who was nearby with Kale, asks what's going on. Caulifla tells Kaba that his idol just crushed their people. Kaba asks what she's talking about. Vegeta tells her to stop being childish, and that she should be kind and take him to their king, since he doesn't have time to waste. Caulifla gets furious when she hears this. She tries to go after Vegeta, but Kaba doesn't let her. She complains that first Vegeta beats up her friends, and now he wants to give orders. Vegeta says that something is wrong with Caulifla, and that she looks like a rabid dog. Caulifla screams for Kaba to let her go so she can finish Vegeta off, but Kaba says that Vegeta can rest assured because he caught her. Vegeta asks Kale if she can take him to the king. Caulifla, apparently calmer, tells Kaba that everything is fine now, and he believes her. Vegeta warns Kaba not to let go of her. Before Kaba can even ask why, Caulifla pushes him aside and advances towards Vegeta, preparing to punch him while cursing. But Vegeta almost instantly transforms into a Super Saiyan at the same time. He hits Caulifla in the face. Kale despairs. Caulifla spins in the air due to Vegeta's kick and rolls across the ground due to the force of the attack. Kaba holds the unconscious Caulifla on his back while Vegeta tells them to hurry and that he doesn't want to repeat himself. On a planet called Pillar, Hit is observing some strange creatures, and the one watching him is Frost, hiding behind a tree, all sweating. Hit walks towards the creature he's observing. Frost complains that this place is hot as hell and that he can barely breathe. He prepares his attack. Frost is very attentive, as he wants to see what assassination technique Hit is going to use. But the next moment, Hit is already surrendering him, asking Frost what his next brilliant idea is after following a man born to hunt, and he then asks Frost who hired him. Frost asks Hit to calm down, and says that no one hired him, since he only works for himself. He says that what he really wants is revenge. In Sadala, Kaba and Kale are taking Vegeta somewhere. It looks like they arrived at this place. But Vegeta is confused because he can't see anything, and so Kaba asks him to look down. When Vegeta does this, we can see a gigantic hole in the ground, which is some kind of underground construction. That place is King Sadala's palace. Vegeta likes what he sees and smiles. Kaba talks to a Saiyan apparently named Sprout, asking him to take them to the king. On the ship, Sprout says he's never seen Vegeta and asks where he's from. Vegeta responds that he came from another universe. Sprout doesn't believe this and starts laughing, thinking it's a joke. But when Vegeta looks at him with his face very seriously, Sprout's laugh loses strength until it stops, and then he apologizes, saying that he overreacted. Cauliflower wakes up with a phlegm bubble bursting in her face, and she wakes up in full swing, screaming for Vegeta. She thinks Vegeta kidnapped her and warns him that he won't get away with it. A real confusion begins inside the ship, drawing the attention of everyone around. Vegeta tells Kaba to hold Cauliflower. Kaba says he's trying, and Cauliflower says she's going to crush Vegeta. The confusion continues with Kaba asking Cauliflower to please stop, and her promising to kill the other Saiyan. A robot asks a guard if he should alert the king. The guard says no, as this is apparently quite common there. Inside the palace, a man escorted by robot guards is approached by a small, strange guy who tells him that an individual claiming to be from another universe is asking for an audience. This larger man is called SADALA, and he responds by agreeing to the request. The dwarf says that the visitor is waiting in the main hall. The king says he will go to him. In the main hall, the doors open, revealing the arrival of the king of the planet, expected by Vegeta, Kaba, Kale, and Cauliflower. Prince Vegeta and King SADALA exchange serious and penetrating glances, especially the king, who stares at the visitor with intensity. They shake hands, SADALA introduces himself, and then Vegeta does the same. King SADALA comments that he heard that Vegeta came from another universe. He asks what Vegeta's story is and what he's doing there. Vegeta says he doesn't have time to waste talking about stories, and when he was about to say why he came for, King SADALA interrupts, saying that listening and telling a story is never a waste of time. And with a threatening expression, he asks Vegeta if it is. Vegeta ends up giving in and asks the king to tell his story then. He comments that he has never seen a palace built underground and wants to know more about it. The king says he has a reason for this. He says that the people of SADALA have not always known peace. He says he doesn't know what Saiyans are like in Vegeta's universe, but in theirs, the Saiyan people were ruled by submission and violence. He himself, in the past, was an illustrious warrior driven by a thirst for battle and power. They were a savage race, and this warrior essence was making them lose their minds. There are even legends talking about them having had monkey tails in the past, but it seems that simply because they did not use this power, the tails were lost over time. The people were divided, so King SADALA of that time once again proved his legitimacy by uniting the entire world thanks to a union of species. And thanks to that interbreeding, the king's side prevailed against his opponents. He says that in the beginning he was just a general in the king's army, following his ideals and providing support, but thanks to his unparalleled loyalty he gained more authority and recognition until he became the king's right-hand man. As the years passed and he lived from battlefield to battlefield, he saw many companions die, and so his loyalty to the king grew stronger. He says he was used to seeing blood, and the scar on his face is a witness. But that time it crossed the line. A man named Gherkin the Bloody hated the king more than his own inner demons. The king defeated him many times but spared his life. However, there came a time when this ended up being fatal for him. He could not bear this loss. Day and night he hunted this man driven by hatred, but to his surprise, the relief that he gained from killing Gherkin was just an illusion. Burying his fist in his stomach didn't fill the emptiness he felt, and when he removed his hand from Gherkin's body, he saw nothing but the emptiness of an endless tunnel. This form engraved in his memory defined the shape of SADALA Palace. As the former king SADALA had no heirs, the people voted for him as successor because of his hierarchical position. To this day, he can't look at himself without thinking about his lost brothers. Since he became king, he has strived to perpetuate the previous king's ideals and work to put an end to this childish war and reunite the camps. The braids he does every morning are a reminder of that. A Saiyan who does not stand for his convictions is an usurper. The king then reveals to Vegeta that he is saying all this because he thinks he already knows the reasons for the visit, but warns Vegeta not to count on them. When the king is about to dismiss him with a goodbye, Vegeta interrupts by saying that he is starting to understand. He then points the finger at King SADALA and says that he is afraid of death. This leaves Kaba and the surrounding guards in complete shock. SADALA is outraged and asks how Vegeta dares to say that. Vegeta smiles. At that moment, he begins to remember some moments in his life, moments in which he let his pride speak louder and was greatly harmed because of it. And then Vegeta kneels down, completely shocking everyone around, especially Cauliflower. Vegeta then pleads with King SADALA, father of the Saiyans, saying that no matter what they do, thousands will die. What they have to decide is whether they will act before or not. Vegeta then concludes by saying that a king who doesn't keep his promises is a usurper. Now, on a planet called Nibur, Hit is chased by Frost. who is vehemently begging the assassin to teach him some of his techniques, but Hit continues to deny. Frost asks how he's going to make his enemies suffer if Hit doesn't help him. Hit says Frost has to do this on his own and let him work. Frost asks if this is Hit's technique to make him suffer, and Hit says no. Frost starts to tease. He says he thought they were friends and comments that Hit needs some. Since it's kind of depressing to see him walking around alone all the time, he says they're not that different. He also knows what it's like to be forced to do something you don't want to do, and that's why his species is so persistent. He's saying this because it seems like Hit doesn't like his work, or even his own life. These words seem to affect Hit in some way, to the point where he freezes Frost in time, so he stops talking. In the space of Universe 6, the Capsule Corporation ship continues its journey. Bulma asks Jocko how long it will take for them to arrive. Jocko replies that it will take 2 more days. Bulma thinks Jocko is joking, but he's serious. Bulma gets furious when she hears this and says she hopes he brought supplies, but unfortunately for her, Jocko only brought his super chocolate bar, and with that he could last 4 or 5 days. Chila is also furious with Jocko, and he tells her not to bother him too. Brawly offers them the legs of a weird spider he killed, since he ate well before leaving, and there's juice too if they're thirsty. Everyone feels like vomiting when he offers this, but Brawly finds it all very delicious, much to Chilai's disgust. Not happy with the whole situation, Bulma says it's going to be a long journey. After Vegeta's accusation against King Sadala, one of the robot guards asks if they should act, but the king stops him with his arm and responds by saying that if anyone has to act, it's not them. Then the king speaks to Vegeta, telling him to continue and that he has won his interest. Vegeta says that the king also heard the same warning as them. The war will happen whether he wants it or not. He also knows that this is not just a civil war between Saiyans. Vegeta asks what the king will do when the enemy invades his lands. Will he offer a white flag? No matter how much of a pacifist he wants to be, if he is the king of those he claims to be, his instincts will never allow him to do that. Getting back to his feet, Vegeta says he can't guarantee there won't be any deaths, but he can make each of them, his people, worthy of their names. He may not perform miracles, but he will ensure that each of them takes care of themselves. Vegeta looks at the younger Saiyans behind him and says that there is a lot of potential hidden in them, and he can guarantee that. Caulifla is surprised when he says that. Suddenly, Vegeta feels something that alarms him, and Kaba, feeling the same thing, is very scared. What they are feeling now is the elevation of the ki of the King of Saiyans, who in fury exerts incredible pressure in that place, releasing an energy that shakes the entire environment and makes even the birds in the sky outside the palace feel the danger and run away. But after expressing all this anger in the form of energy release, the king disperses his ki, showing an expression of sadness, giving into everything that was said. Starting to retreat, he orders one of the robot guards to gather all of SADALA's special forces because he will make an announcement. Vegeta looks at him in silence, already understanding what the king decided. He says the king will not regret it. SADALA, about to leave the main hall, turns to Vegeta to reply that he doesn't live with regrets. Sometime later, the soldiers are gathered together as the king ordered. He says he has an announcement to make to SADALA Special Forces. And so ends Chapter 4. Chapter 5. General Meeting. After summoning his special forces, the king gives his speech. He tells the Saiyan people that he and their ancestors fought to make peace speak. But unfortunately, those days are over. They were all shocked by the Grand Priest's announcement, and they must prove that they can defend themselves against these fomenters of revolt. They, Saiyans, are people who live according to facts, and not dreamlike conceptions of the world around them. So they must raise their fists and welcome the heirs of their neighboring universe. They must fight hand in hand. They must fight for themselves. Glory to their people. 2 days later, the Capsule Corporation ship finally arrives at their destination, and Jocko is the one who warns them. As soon as he sees them in the sky, a kind of guard signals them to land, implying that this type of visit is normal there, or that the people of the planet already knew about their arrival. The ship lands, and the first to get out is Jocko, and soon after him, the others get out. Jocko says that place isn't bad at all, and that it's better than their rotten planet, probably referring to planet Vampa. With the exception of Brawly, the rest of the crew is very nauseous, and Bulma says that she will never taste Brawly's food again in her life. The heroes began their training journeys. Yamcha, Tien, and Krillin arrived on planet Calumet to train with the Trio of Danger. Gohan went to Universe 11 to train with the Pride Troopers. Gulton and Trunks, after falling out with Beerus, will be taken elsewhere to be trained by Whis. And Vegeta and Brawly are now on planet SADALA to train alongside the Saiyans from Universe 6. What will happen now? What will be their next steps? Find out in the next chapters of Dragon Ball Kakumei.